Hello, everybody. This is Marie, and welcome to Marie's Chatty Tarot. Today, we are going to talk about 9/11. The anniversary is going to be tomorrow. Well, I guess today, by the time that the video is uploaded, it's going to be the day of the anniversary of the tragedy that had occurred on 9/11, 2001. So, we want to take a look and see what the cards wants to share about details that may have not surfaced as of yet. Before we get started, for those interested, today I'm going to be using the Tarot of White Cats. It's a it's a medium size, small type of, small, on the smaller side of type of deck. It's pretty cute. Got it a while back. I don't use it that often, but it's an awesome deck, and I feel like it's probably going to be a good idea to use this deck today for this particular reading. So um, so I think at this point is 22 years or 23 years since the Twin Towers collapse. Um, about 3,000 people died that day, and the world have changed ever since. The way we use commercial airlines, policies have been enacted through that. Wars have been waged because of that tragedy, and a lot of other slew of information have come out over the years about what had occurred. And I'm sure many of you might have known somebody that have passed away, either passed away or barely made it out on time out of the towers. So, emotion runs high every time you talk about this particular moment in time because a lot of people are still stuck in the trauma. Um, uh, my ex-husband, so we were dating at that time, and I was actually in college when that occurred. I was supposed to go to a class, and I was dragging my feet. It was getting late. Class was about to start, and something told me, "Don't go to school that day." And when I listened to the radio, 1010 Wins, which is a very popular syndicate radio in New York, said over the radio that one of the tower got hit. And then I remember running up the stairs. My mother was visiting at that time. I used to live at my auntie's, and she told her, "Look, let's turn on the radio." It was on ABC. And right as we turn on the radio, the TV screen, we see the second tower being hit by the plane. Later on, we found out it was never a plane; it was a controlled demolition. Over the years, a lot of information have come out, and at that time, everybody emotion was high. People were scared. Don't know if there were other attacks coming. I'm sure you know the story, but uh, a little bit about my perspective. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, his father-in-law passed away in one of the towers. I think it was the first tower. He didn't get a chance to get out on time because, again, confusion, a lot was going on. So he didn't make it. And he left behind, uh, you know, um, mother-in-law, and mother-in-law had two younger kids with that man. So I kind of sort of was not involved, but I was paying attention in my peripheral um, about the struggles, the legal battles, and the death certificate saying homicide, and then there was an investigation being done, and who was the director at that time was Robert Mueller, same Robert Mueller who who was doing the investigation during Trump, who came up with the nutting burger about the Russia thing. I mean, there was a lot of cover up going on. And later on, CIA have declassified information to show that, hey, there was a lot of red flags. There was a lot of funny business going on. So, anywho, um, fast forward. Um, I was doing a deep dive and come to find out one of the flight attendant who said, who shared, who shared how the crime was done. That the plane never hit the towers. It was actual bombing, demolition that took place. And there are footage around the internet. If you go on my Telegram channel, you will find such footage of a firefighter saying there's a explosive device on the second tower, in the second tower, located somewhere in the second tower. So, and there's a lot of other information that came out, but that particular flight attendant. Now, if you go online right now, you're looking for that flight attendant that I'm talking about. Her information has been erased. The flight attendant that you might be seeing right now is somebody else. It's not her. The Heller me that you see online, the Carol Heller, it's not the lady that I'm talking about. She explained how the crime was done, how you know those two airplanes were uh, taken out of regular flight duty, and they made a stop at another airport, and they recorded those last messages. And after those messages was recorded, because those are those are the voice messages that were playing on the air. Um, those people were disappeared, unalive. Let's put it this way. On that plane, some kind of nerve gas agent was used, according to that flight attendant, and then that airplane was sold to a foreign country. And if you do some research, again, if we have not shifted timeline too much, there's information. There should be information about that on the internet, because digital warriors and truthers have found, you know, that airplane, but that plane was not discontinued. It was sold to a foreign nation. Anyway, fast forward. Again, a lot of information over the years are coming out. So those theories are no longer a conspiracy. It's actual coming out as facts that there were a lot of funny business. The crime was never the tower. The towers were, sadly to say, the the distraction. The actual crime was tower number 7. And you're barely going to hear about that tower because it collapsed, demolition. It was demolished or collapsed around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So a lot of the news, brushed it off and said, "Oh, it was the vibration of the two towers that caused that tower to collapse." And then this is how they, out of sight, out of mind, that's it. That was it. That was it. And you can find that information online if you get a chance. A few days before, I think a day before, Rumsfeld, uh, he passed away, I believe, not long ago. He made a press conference saying that Ronald Rumsfeld, I believe, he made a conference saying that, oh, there's money missing. We need to do an audit. The Pentagon is missing some money, millions, no, trillions, and we're gonna have to do an audit. And then soon after, uh, you know, Tower number 7 collapsed. Um, and apparently, a lot of the evidence, a lot of the servers that held those missing trillions, it would appeared, were located there. Um, uh, interestingly enough, uh, Trump was quickly on the scene, and they interviewed him like the local news network because that's what was on the scene. And Trump said, "Oh, this does not look like it was. This does not look right." And he said, um, "The towers were designed with uh, with an airplane, with a God forbid, with uh, with with a accident of sort, or with that type of accident in mind. They built it, um, being mindful of that there could be a possibility of an airplane hitting the tower, but the steel, the structure of those two towers should be so strong that it would withstand helicopter hitting it, airplane hitting it, and it should be able to withstand that shock." Because Trump said that in passing, and it was mentioned that one time, and it was never mentioned again. Trump, he said it. I'm sure it must have been scrubbed, but you can still find it if you are pretty good at research. I'm sure the footage is there somewhere, either on Rumble or on Telegram, but you will find it. And I remember because again, I was home that day. I didn't go to class. I ditched class, so I was watching this live. Um, and I'm like, wow. Few years after, engineers. So they were. I guess the investigation was not going too well. I was not really following too closely, but enough that I remember that a group of engineers, they were ticked off because they were trying to say that the reason why those towers collapsed was because um, um, was trying to say that the reason why those towers collapsed was because the engineers didn't do a good job. And a group of engineers, again, if I'm in the right timeline, I hope I'm right on this because timelines have been shifting lately, and um, hopefully I am in the right timeline. I am. This is how I remember things. So, um, a group of engineers ticked off. They say no, and they vet their license because in order to be a licensed engineer, you have to be licensed with the state. Kind of like real estate, you need to have a license to operate. And they put a group of them put their license on the line. They say, "Oh no, this was not, this was not the shock and the thingy of the airplane that collapsed the towers. It was a demolition. There were proof of detonation. And if you look at how the towers from a cassette footage, not from a digital footage, but from a cassette, um, it was, you know, um, um, it shows how floor by floor um, the towers were being pancaked all the way to the ground and taking souls along with it in the process. Some people never recovered their loved ones' bodies, DNA, nothing of biological matter, ashes disappeared, disintegrated completely. And, you know, to make matters worse, they found like a passport intact out of nowhere. It fell from the sky, apparently, of one of the pilots. Can you imagine the gaslighting? God damn, we were so foolish back in those days. But the fear and the shock, all of this, a lot of people overlook a lot of the details. But the truth, can never be contained, right? So, um, I question is, what does the cards wants to chat? I mean, what missing information that have yet to be revealed about that tragedy? Is there any information that the cards wants to share? Additional information that have yet to be revealed, uh, that is gonna come out at one point in time, right? Um, One point in time is so far away, but let's contain it to 1 year, in the next year or so, because sometimes certain truth takes some time in order to come out. Um, um, so, what information about the tragedy of the 911, those 3,000 souls lost when the Twin Towers collapsed? What, and subsequently, Tower number 7 being collapsed too later on that afternoon. What other information that the cards wants to share that have not been revealed as of yet? Hopefully, that information will be revealed in the next year or so. So for those interested, I'm going to be using the Kachina knife spread. Um, a lot of truthers kind of like to use this spread. It's pretty easy to follow. So this first one is Eight of Cups. Second one is the Sun, which represents the situation. Uh, the Hierophant, recent past. Again, so those two cards, the Hierophant and the Sun card, those are major arcana. So, uh, so we really have to pay attention to, you know, those details. So the Nine of Wands in the present. Sorry about that. The Magician, again, another major arcana as potential outcome. Oh wow, that's a lot of major arcana for one reading so far. Um, Eight of Pentacles as clarification, and the Wheel of Fortune. Wow, another major arcana. Again, that's five major arcana in one spread. That is a lot to contain. This is a lot. So it means that, yeah, within the next few months, uh, maybe less than a year, because all those major arcana is back to back. That's saying a lot. So what information that we don't know that's gonna, so Eight of Cups, that's the first card to answer. Eight of Cups is a card of disappointment. This is the this is the origin story of the hermit. The hermit, about going on a journey. So this card is the origin story, is showing that hermit who's about to leave his or her material possession, leaving everything that he or she knows behind, and leaving that matrix behind, being disappointed with what where she is, not being satisfied emotionally, spiritually satisfied, um, and leaving everything behind and going on a journey. Even though what's ahead is going to be a difficult path with those with the mountains, because mountain represents some kind of obstacle or hardship, unknown that you have to overcome. But no, doesn't care, does not care about staying behind, but care about moving on. And the moon, dead of night, kind of to imply um, with this strong urge, this strong desire to leave, and also um, facing the unknown. Um, so I wonder, it feels like it, a lot of information possibly coming out. Uh, and the way that information is gonna come out, pentacles underneath as a clarifier is working on like putting your ducks in a row, really paying attention to detail. Um, so a lot of people are gonna be, I guess, in the come upcoming months, uh, a lot of people are gonna be disappointed because they're gonna realize with the sun, tr- certain truth is gonna come to light. A lot of it actually, because the sun is blazing. Um, sun is happy. Sun is a beautiful card, but can be so invigorating and uh, energizing. So uh, people who for so long have known the truth, who have it looks like they're gonna get their chance in the sun, and people who have never entertained, who've been in darkness or who've been asleep, the truth is gonna come out and it's gonna shine on everybody. So whatever information, massive information, is gonna come out bigly, right? And Wheel of Fortune is saying that there's gonna be a turn of event, and it's gonna happen fairly quickly. I think it's something like certain information, not certain information, certain event is gonna have to happen. It's gonna flip things upside down, and it feels like after the election, a lot of things gonna flip upside down somehow. And then it's gonna be triggering certain events where a lot of things are gonna be kind of like a floodgate. A lot of information is gonna come out. So in the past with the Hierophant, so Hierophant is about conformity, mandating conformity. You know, for a very long time, Vatican has kept a stronghold on what to do, what not to do. What they were like the mother and father of morality. They were harbinger of truth, you know, all of that. And uh, and through them, they have kept under lock and key a lot of knowledge, and they have maintained control on a lot of our way of life, financial system. We can go on and on. Uh, Clearly, it's worth your time to do some research about the Vatican. They're not as squeaky clean as they want to appear to be. And I'm sure if you have followed the scandals about the pedophile and the molestation, you would know. Anyway, moving on. For a very long time, these people have been in control. They have, you know, uh, destroyed people's lives countless of time. But to the present, with that Nine of Wands, they're saying, okay, for those weary traveler, hold on, because the truth is coming. But the other layer is that these people are those bad guys, those elites, whoever was holding the secrets or the knowledge. Uh, they're holding on barely because the nine is like, you know, they're holding the line as best as they could, but they are weary, they're tired, they're fatigued, they're wear down, they're lacking in resources. They know the end is near because the next card is the 10th, and the 10 is always the end. So very little between the 9 and 10 is just one more step that is needed before they are completely collapsed. And uh, a lot of these people, now again coming back to this first card, the eight of cups, a lot of these people are leaving their own party, leaving probably switching side, it appears. Now based once you add that element, that Nine of Wands, to the as an aspect, it gives you another side of the story, as if to say these people are so tired, they're lacking resources, they're, you know, yes, they were in control for a very long time, but now they're not, it's not sustainable. One more step before they're completely collapsed. And it's as if to say we are approaching that last step. And it very feels like, the election around this time, that event is gonna switch things around, kind of like the beginning of the end, kind of sort of. And a lot of them are already jumping ship, either trying to get a deal or trying to get a reduced sentence. So a lot of those bad guys or whatever is left barely holding on because the truth is coming out. Um, right now, at this point, floodgate, because so much information has been out there. A lot of people have hold on to their footages now or putting it out. People who had stuff in video cassette, um, uploading actual footage, showing the world what really had happened that day. Because if it's from a cassette, it cannot be um, digitally manipulated because the footage of the plane hitting the tower, that was a hologram, people. It was digitally manipulated. uh, the media was part of the thing, this this thing. They were part of the operation. So once you see those video cassette, again, if you go to my Telegram channel, everything is on the link, my link tree. Um, you will find it. It's there. So outcome, to say that the magician. So magician is a card of communication. Mercury. That's the card, the sign that rules it. It's about communication, sharing. So the information is going to be coming out, but you're really going to have to pay attention to the information or the way the information is going to come out because it may be convoluted or it may be like piece by piece. It may not be packaged correctly, and it might, you know, come from an unlikely source, and it might come across maybe the first time as a propaganda, but once, if you really pay attention and you really do the research, you will see that that information is have some credibility to it. And with that wheel of fortune, you know, the truth is going to come out, but it's going to come out in a way that's kind of sort of out of the blue, unexpected, right? I'm going to take two more cards. Knight of Pentacles. So Knight of Pentacles is movement, slow movement. So that information is going to come out slowly, and but once it does, it's really going to unify a lot of people. Now, it didn't share any new information. It's just saying that, the bad guys are losing. A lot of them are jumping ship one more step before this whole thing, that old guard, come collapse. Uh, so there are going to be a small group. I'm guessing it sounds like the media is going to try to propaganda as much as they can, but the information is still going to be coming out. But you people will have to pay attention to the truth. Pay attention to the pattern. Pay attention, but it's going to be very slow moving. It might not be in the next year or so. It might be longer, but over the months, uh, it might be piece by piece. You're gonna have to piece. Probably not all the information is going to come out at once, but you know we are moving in the right direction in terms of major information is coming out, and in doing so, a lot of people are going to be rejoicing because maybe that will give the people who have lost loved ones some closure. Maybe that will give people you know uh, a bittersweet where they can finally um, their loved one can probably be at peace, kind of feel, right? um wow, that's pretty interesting. Any other information that the cards wants to share about uh, the the what do you call it, Tower 7? Now, a lot of people talked about it. It was brushed aside because obviously, who cares about servers and trillions of dollars missing when such tremendous loss of life, right? So nobody ever paid attention, and I think that was the whole point of it. you know, this tragedy, that particular tragedy of having so much destruction, so much loss of life that you just don't pay attention to tower number 7. And they have succeeded because after that, nobody ever talked about um, that uh, press conference that Rumford did. Oh, I'm sure you can find it on the internet. It's maybe not on YouTube, but it's out there. So let's see what the course wants to share about that. So I'm happy that information is coming out, and I'm happy that the majority of the information are out already. Um, so there's no new information to share. The only thing that is that the bad guys are one step before all of them collapse, and that's actually great news, right? And so what does the course wants to share about Tower 7? So we just have to keep heart, hold on a little longer, and be patient and optimistic, right? So Tower 7, what does the card wants to share about that? That had collapsed on 9/11, a little bit after 4. Any new news? So 3 of Wands, the first card. King of Swords, situation. Wow, the 8 of Cups, again showing up, but this time in the recent past. Now that's interesting. Wheel of Fortune. Again, you guys seen that I thoroughly I was shuffling those cards pretty hard. Again, the Magician. Wow, I'm telling you, no jokes. Uh, 4 of Wands, right? Clarifier and King of Wands. So that's a lot of wands. And so we asked about Tower 7. So Tower 7 is about going in a different direction. So they may not talk about Tower 7. It may not resurface. Maybe, okay, it's coming across as if maybe right now they're not going to be talking about it. And maybe at the ceremony, memorial service, they may not, mention that. It might not something, it's not probably not going to be in the horizon in the foreseeable future, but major information is going to come out, either court documents or CIA disclosure kind of thing. There was a bunch of documents that Trump wanted declassified but never came to light. It feels kind of sort of along the line of that sort, like major document, because it's the King of Swords. There's nothing major than a king above the king. So some treasure trove or documents or disclosure possibly is gonna come out, and that's out of nowhere, maybe uh, with those king, and it's gonna be major, like beyond the shadow of the doubt type of feel, and that right underneath is the King of Wands, King of Swords, King of Wands, and it's gonna ignite a lot of anger. It can ignite a renewal passion for people who like seeking out the truth, trying to find answers. So it might uh, drive people to do more research on that or get into a rabbit hole or, trying to find out what had occurred. So it's going to be like a combination of that going on. Recent past. So again, uh, bad guys are leaving the scene like rats on a ship that's drowning ship. And a lot of people are changing their minds or starting to come to terms that the matrix is not perfect, that the matrix is not a happy place. It's have done a lot of hurt, more hurt than good, right? So a lot of people are, you know, moving away from that. And things are gonna shift uh with the wheel of fortune, like out of nowhere. It feels like that information because wheel of fortune is that 1 second everything might be looking one way and the next everything has been flipped upside down, and it is as if, it feels like a flip of a coin, right? Things is gonna shift, and then outcome again, the magician. Truth is gonna be coming out, but a lot of it is gonna be packaged with a this uh, uh, uh not disinformation. It's gonna be laced with propaganda, right? It's going to be laced with propaganda. But if you're going to use your discernment, they're going to try to do their thing. They're going to try to do their spiel, the media or the controlled opposition or whoever. Even in the truther community, it seems like there are, you know, people who are acting in bad faith. But, uh, but the truth is going to be there as well, right? With that magician card. And it's also with that four of wands, it's saying that four of wands, it's like one more step. Again, piggybacking the same from the previous reading. One more step is needed before we can pass through that threshold of celebration, of unity, of love, of abundance. So we have one more step, or maybe one event, or one big event, or a series of events that will accumulate to that one big, you know, thing. Um, that we kind of sort of have to overcome before we can go to promised land, sort of. And um, so once that information comes out, or that information and the rage or the anger or new fuel motivation is going to propel people to act. Again, the ambition can be, you know, somebody full of potential, somebody who has the will, because the card, this is the first card, is the card of I will, of you have the will to, of I am. It is the card that, that will give a lot of people the courage to manifest, to take control of their um, destiny. Sounds so cheesy, but it's true. To take control of their lives. So it's gonna be like, people will be so disappointed, so effed up that it's gonna be like a flip of a switch, like a flip of a coin. People will just like, you know, um, come out, and once all those truths and information, people will feel like a combo of of uh, thirst of knowledge, or anger, or renewed motivation to to create, to manifest, having the will to start something, to have the confidence, right, to push forward, um, and to to break through that barrier, to go towards, so this four of wands is a card of marriage, celebration, union, so it's as if this will, that information or whatever is going to come out about this, the tower number seven, it's going to really push people over the edge. It's really going to, people will assert their will over themselves, over their lives, and force people to, give people the courage, without like the final push to get out of the matrix and to go toward something better, something new, if that makes sense. Huh. Okay. This is pretty cool, interesting too. Strength card. So some patience is going to be needed, and with uh, that strength card, that's a major arcana. So a lot of strength, physical, mental, spiritual strength is going to be needed, because it's going to be crazy during those period of time. It's not going to be ugly chaos. So we're gonna have to really keep your wits about yourself once those information is gonna come out, those massive information. And the Four of Pentacles is about conserve, not only conserve your energy, um, your resources, uh, and your resources could be your time, your energy, your patience. I mean, all of that, all wrapped into one. Uh, as all those disclosure are going to be coming out the next few years. the next year or so, or the next few months. Ah, wow. Well, I'm gonna keep it at that. Thank you guys for sticking with me to the end of this video. Please feel free to share, like, and subscribe. Um, just have to pray that the loved ones, the people that perish on 9/11, find peace, are able to move on, and that the loved ones have healed from this trauma and hopefully get a sense of closure. And with that, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.